Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take that heap of information you've got, all those sources, and we really boil it down to what you need to know.
Exactly. No fluff, just the core insights.
And today, you've given us quite a stack on Neuralink's telepathy. Fascinating stuff.
It really is. We've got news articles, a pretty detailed research report.
Right, so our job here is to kind of sift through all that, cut through the noise, and give you a clear picture of this telepathy tech, what it actually is and why it matters.
We'll be your guides, basically.
Yeah.
Highlighting the key breakthroughs, but also looking at the bigger picture, the implications of what Neuralink is trying to do here.
Okay, let's jump right in then. Neuralink's telepathy. I mean, the name itself grabs you, right? Controlling phones, computers, just by thinking. It sounds revolutionary.
It certainly does. And beyond just the headline, the sources really make clear who this is initially aimed at.
Yeah, who stands to benefit most right now?
Well, the primary focus, and this comes through strongly, is on individuals with paralysis. The goal is to dramatically improve their ability to communicate, to interact.
Giving back some independence.
Exactly. Addressing a really fundamental need through technology.
Okay, so we've got this mix of sources, news, research. For this deep dive, our mission, let's call it, is pretty clear. Understand the tech behind telepathy, where things stand right now, the potential upsides, which seem huge, and also, the debates surrounding it. Ready to get into it.
Absolutely. Let's start right at the beginning. When we say telepathy in this Neuralink context, what are we actually talking about?
Good question. So telepathy is Neuralink's specific name for their brain-computer interface, the BCI.
Right, BCI.
Yeah. And just a quick note for you listening, we did see telepathy maybe pop up somewhere, likely just a typo. We're definitely talking telepathy here.
Got it.
At its heart, it's about reading the neural signals, the electrical activity in your brain.
And translating those signals.
Exactly. Translating them into commands that can control devices, your phone, a computer, whatever's connected.
And the main goal here, it's about speed and intuition, right? For people who've lost limb function, maybe through paralysis, spinal cord injuries, ALS is mentioned.
Yeah, conditions like that.
It's offering a way to interact with technology, with the world, that bypasses the physical limitations much faster than current methods sometimes.
And it's not just functional, is it? It's about connection, expression.
Absolutely. Restoring that connection. And the report mentions Elon Musk's vision for this. It's typically ambitious.
Yeah, no kidding. What did it say?
He's talking about communication speeds that could eventually be faster than typing, maybe even faster than an auctioneer speaks.
Wow,
Yeah.
faster than an auctioneer.
Yeah, the report even brings up someone like Stephen Hawking, suggesting how this kind of tech could have helped.
That really puts the ambition into perspective. So, okay, the vision is grand. How does it actually work? What's the tech inside?
Well, the core component is something called the N1 implant.
N1.
Yeah. And this thing has, get this, 124 electrodes. Tiny, tiny electrodes.
Over 1,000. Wow. Where do they all go?
They're distributed on 64 ultra-thin threads. Really, really
Yeah.
fine threads. And these are implanted surgically into the brain,
Into the brain itself. Which part?
primarily targeting the motor cortex. That's the area that controls voluntary movement.
Okay, motor cortex. Makes sense if you want to control things, but implanting 64 threads? That sounds incredibly delicate. How do they do that safely?
That's where the R1 robot comes in. It's a specialized surgical robot designed for this exact task.
A robot surgeon.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
It handles inserting these threads with extreme precision. The whole idea is to minimize damage to the brain tissue.
How precise are we talking?
The needles used are apparently only about 10 to 12 microns wide.
Microns. How small is that?
Just a bit larger than a single red blood cell. So incredibly fine. Minimal invasion is the goal.
That is amazing. Okay, so the implant reads the signals. What about power? And connecting to my phone, say. No wires sticking out, I hope.
Yeah, definitely not. The N1 implant has its own small battery, and it charges wirelessly.
Like a phone.
Exactly like that, yeah. Inductive charging. And the communication, sending those commands to your phone or computer, that's all wireless too. Bluetooth, presumably, or similar. It's designed to be self-contained once implanted.
Right. And this whole procedure, the implantation, it's part of a clinical trial, isn't it? PRIME.
Yes, the PRIME trial. That stands for Precise Robotically Implanted Brain-Computer Interface.
Catchy name.
Well, it spells out the key parts: precision, robotics, BCI. This trial is absolutely crucial for testing safety and whether it actually works as intended in humans.
So where are we with that? What's the status as of, say, now mid-2025?
Okay, so the big news was the first human implant. That happened back in January 2024, January 20th specifically.
Right, I remember hearing about that. How did it go?
Reports suggest the patient recovered well, which is obviously the first hurdle, and the initial results seem positive.
Positive how?
They've been able to detect neuron spikes.
Neuron spikes, like the brain's electrical signals.
Exactly. It means the device is picking up neural activity. It's listening to the brain, basically. That's a fundamental step, proving the connection works.
That is a big step, seeing those signals. And the FDA had to approve this trial, obviously?
Oh, yeah. The FDA gave the green light for the PRIME trial back in May 2023. That was the regulatory step needed to start human testing.
And who are they recruiting for this trial?
The target participants are adults, 22 or older, who have quadriplegia, so loss of function in all four limbs,
Due to what?
either from a spinal cord injury or from ALS. Those are the specific conditions for the PRIME trial.
Okay. And if someone listening thinks they might qualify or just wants to know more?
Neuralink set up a patient registry. That's mentioned in the sources. People can look that up online. And there's also a promotional video Neuralink put out that shows more about the trial and the tech.
Good to know that info's out there. Did the sources mention anything about trials outside the U.S.?
They did, yeah. Apparently, in November 2024, they got approval to start trials in Canada, too.
Oh, interesting. Expanding the reach.
Yeah, setting up a site there helps gather more data, work with more people.
Okay, so we've got the what and the where we are now. Let's talk potential. What are the really big, maybe even life-changing benefits we could see from telepathy?
I think the biggest one, the most profound, is restoring autonomy for people with severe motor impairments, I mean.
Autonomy. Like
Yeah.
being able to do things for themselves again.
Exactly. Imagine being able to communicate easily, control your environment, use technology just by thinking. It could fundamentally change their daily lives, their quality of life.
That's huge. It's more than just convenience.
It's about independence. Regaining a level of independence many might have thought was gone forever.
Beyond communication, controlling devices.
Oh, yeah.
What else?
Well, you could imagine opening up possibilities for work, for creativity, social interaction, things that are incredibly difficult or impossible now for some.
Right.
And maybe telepathy is just the start, like a stepping stone for more advanced BCIs down the road.
What kind of things?
Maybe tackling sensory issues like blindness, or even enhancing mobility somehow, maybe cognitive functions eventually. It opens a lot of doors, conceptually.
And didn't the report mention some other related projects? Trademarks?
Ah, yes. Telekinesis and blind sight.
Telekinesis, like moving things with your mind.
Well, probably more like controlling robotic limbs or external devices, yeah. And blind sight suggests aiming to restore vision.
Wow.
These trademarks give us a peek into Neuralink's wider roadmap. Telepathy might be the first big step, but the ambition seems much broader.
It really does start to sound like science fiction becoming reality. What about, I mean, the name is telepathy. What about actual mind-to-mind communication? Is that even on the table?
The sources kind of touch on that, but it's very speculative. The immediate goal is device control. But, long term, could the technology evolve to allow direct communication between implanted individuals? Maybe, but that's way down the line, if ever.
Right, okay. Focus on the now. So the benefits are clear, potentially massive. But it's brain surgery. It's interfacing directly with the brain. There must be challenges, controversies.
Absolutely, and the sources definitely highlight these. The first obvious one is the procedure itself. It is invasive surgery.
Yeah, any brain surgery carries risks.
Definitely. And then there are questions about the long term. What happens having these threads, this device, inside the brain for years and years? We don't fully know yet.
Effects on the tissue?
Potentially, yeah. That's an area of active research and monitoring.
And security, if you're connected to the brain. That sounds like a potential nightmare if it goes wrong.
It's a huge consideration. Protecting someone's neural data, their thoughts, preventing misuse. These are critical ethical and technical challenges that need solid answers as the tech develops.
Were there specific criticisms mentioned in the report? From experts, maybe?
Yeah, some neuroscientists and even some former Neuralink employees, apparently, have raised concerns.
About what specifically?
A key point seems to be the potential for those implanted threads to cause damage over time. Inflammation, scarring, the brain's reaction to foreign objects.
Is there an alternative approach?
Well, the report mentions Benjamin Rappaport. He's actually a Neuralink co-founder. His new company, Precision Neuroscience, is apparently focusing on electrodes that sit on the surface of the brain, not penetrating it.
Oh, interesting. So potentially less invasive?
That seems to be the argument, yeah.
Yeah.
Trading off maybe some signal quality for potentially greater safety.
Yeah.
It highlights that there are different ways to approach BCIs.
And there was also controversy around animal testing, wasn't there?
Yes, that's come up quite a bit. Allegations of mistreatment, high mortality rates in early animal trials. Neuralink and Musk have defended the testing as necessary for medical progress, which is a common argument in this field, but is definitely a point of ethical debate.
Right, a complex issue with strong feelings on both sides. Okay, so weighing the potential and the challenges, what's the outlook? Where does telepathy go from here based on what we've seen?
Well, as of now, mid-2025, the focus seems very much on the current human trials, expanding the applications of telepathy, refining the tech based on the data they're getting.
Learning from that first human experience.
Exactly. And as we mentioned, those trademarks, telekinesis, blindsight, they point towards the long-term goals,
Hmm.
addressing movement, vision, a broader range of issues.
Did the report mention Elon Musk talking about this more recently? I think something about a podcast.
Ah, yes, the Lex Fridman podcast appearance, August 2024.
What came out of that?
He apparently talked again about those bigger ambitions, like enabling actual telepathic communication someday, and even enhancing human intelligence to sort of keep pace with AI.
Wow, keeping pace with AI. That's a whole other level of ambition.
It definitely shows the scale of thinking behind Neuralink. Very long-term, very transformative goals.
And those trademarks you mentioned, telekinesis and blindsight, does the process itself tell us anything about timelines?
Well, the report noted the trademark process usually takes, 12 to 18 months, maybe longer, depending on government agency staffing and things like that.
So even if the concepts are there, the reality of those specific products is likely still years away.
That seems like a reasonable assumption, yes. Development, testing, regulatory approval.
Hmm.
It all takes time, especially for medical devices involving the brain.
Okay. We've gone deep on telepathy. How does it fit into Neuralink's bigger picture? The report had a quick comparison.
Yeah, it laid it out nicely. Telepathy device control, currently in human trials, is definitely their lead product right now, most advanced.
Right.
Then you've got telekinesis controlling robotic limbs and blindsight vision restoration. Both have trademarks filed. Blindsight apparently got an FDA breakthrough device designation, which is interesting.
What does that mean, breakthrough?
It can help expedite the development and review process for technologies aimed at serious conditions. So blindsight might be getting some priority from the FDA, but neither telekinesis nor blindsight are in human trials yet, unlike telepathy.
And the N1 implant, the R1 robot, those are the tools making telepathy happen.
Exactly. They're the foundational tech enabling this first major application.
So telepathy is really their flagship, the one paving the way right now.
It certainly seems that way. It's their furthest step so far into actual human use.
All right. Let's try and wrap this up then. After this deep dive into Neuralink's telepathy, what are the absolute key takeaways you think people should hold on to?
Okay, I'd say, one, the massive potential here, especially for people with paralysis. The idea of thought-based device control is genuinely revolutionary.
Yeah. Game-changing potential.
Two, the status. It's not just theory anymore. It's in human clinical trials right now with some positive early signs like detecting those neuron spikes.
It's actually happening.
And three, the challenges. There are significant hurdles, safety, long-term effects, ethics, security. These are serious discussions that need to happen alongside the technological development.
Potential, status, and challenges.
Got it. I think this deep dive has really helped clarify things, cut through some of the hype maybe, and understand what telepathy is, where it is, and why it's getting so much attention.
Definitely. It's a field to watch for sure. The science is incredible and the implications are, well, profound.
And thinking about those implications, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As these brain-computer interfaces get more sophisticated, how does that start to change things on a bigger scale?
What do you mean exactly?
Well, things like our idea of human autonomy, or what communication even means, and just our whole relationship with technology. If it becomes this integrated, it gives you a lot to think about looking forward.
It really does. We're kind of at the very beginning of figuring out how these technologies fit into the human experience, aren't we? It raises some pretty fundamental questions.